Welcome to the Timeless Marketing Podcast with Brian Kurtz, your connection to insights from some of the top direct response marketing minds on the planet.
Hey, it's Brian Kurtz here, host of the Timeless Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a clip from one of the 2-hour calls inside Titan's Accelerator, my private mentorship program for direct response marketers. Before we get to that, I have one question for you. Do you have a marketing insurance policy? If you don't, you need one. And that's why I created Titan's Accelerator, which is one of the most giving communities and serves as the de facto board of advisors and marketing insurance policy for over 250 of the best and brightest direct response marketers, copywriters, media buyers, marketing agencies, senior executives, anyone in direct response marketing who is committed to growing and scaling their business. The bottom line, you don't have to grow your business alone. And you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars either. Titan's Accelerator is 1/10 of the price of most groups of its kind. I know because I hosted a group that was over $20,000 a year. If you want to see how Titan's Accelerator can help you grow and scale your specific business, go to briankurtz.net/help. That's BrianKurtz.net/help. And with a private membership, you'll receive access to the full presentation from today's episode, along with the Q&A and discussion that followed. As an added bonus, you'll receive access to a vault filled with many more private calls just like this one. Again, if you want to see if Titan's Accelerator is a fit for you with no obligation, go to briankurtz.net/help. That's BrianKurtz.net/help. And feel free to email me directly. I respond to every email with questions about this episode or just to say hi at brian@briankurtz.net. Now on to today's episode.
Okay, Ray Edwards, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Just everybody should know Ray is one of the top copywriters in the world. He's been that way for many, many years. I'd say decades. I don't want to give away his age. He can talk about his age. I'm not going to talk about his age, but there's a lot of wisdom here. As I said when I in the Facebook group, I said, he went from direct mail to launches to AI to webinars. He's written for everything, emails. So he's such a wide scope of wisdom and experience. I think he's got some interesting stuff to share with you today. I know he does. So Ray, you're on.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Such an honor to be here. You all are geniuses. I've enjoyed, I didn't know what we were starting when, so I showed up early and I've been listening and watching, and I love this group. And it doesn't surprise me that Brian would bring together such a stellar group of individuals. So exciting to be part of what you've been doing this morning. So I made some notes. I thought we were going to be having kind of what we're doing, a conversation. And
oh, good. Okay.
So I've got a bunch of stuff I want to share, but I don't really have like slides and all that razzmatazz.
That's fine.
So I came here ready to talk about copywriting as $1 million business. That may appeal to some of you. But let me start by saying this. Everything is copy. You guys know this. I'm sure you've heard this before in this group. Nora Ephron is the first person I'm aware of who said those words or wrote those words. She's a fantastic movie maker, storyteller. There's a biography about her called Everything is Copy. You should watch it. Whatever business you're in, magicians or real estate agents or doctors or lawyers or chief executive officers, everything is copy. And I think all businesses are writing businesses. I don't care what you do. I will argue with you and I will win. You are a writing business. If you're a plumber, if you're the best plumber in town, that's no guarantee of success. If you're a mediocre plumber and you're a fantastic marketing writer, you can win the customer battle. So with that being said, we're all copywriters, no matter what you ostensibly sell. And I think I've been teaching this class about the one person, $1 million business, which is a great hook that gets people in the door. And then I tell them how to do that. And then I say, but if you stop there, you're going to be really sad and tired. So there's a bigger vision, which I'll get to in a moment. So I'm giving you like the 10-minute, 5-point version of a 3-day workshop. Number one, the most important thing to building a one-person, $1 million business as a copywriter is, and this, people get turned off by this, but it's true. Number one is mastery of mindset. Many wiser, smarter people than me have said before that success in business is 80% mindset and 20% logistics, technical stuff, so tactics. And that is so true. People don't understand how true it is. And most of us don't understand how much improvement is available to us in our mindset. I mean, I think I've got a pretty good mindset, but some things happened in this past week in my personal life that made me realize, Ray, your mindset stinks in this area, that you've got to work on some stuff. So I invite you to dive in and lean into the journey of improving your mindset. There's a couple of books I'll recommend. One is called Minding Your Mindset by Michael Hyatt. It is so good. It is so good. There's another book that just gave me. I didn't put it on my list here. It'll come to me. The way you think about the problem usually is the problem. I'm learning more and more to push into things that pop up that I used to call problems, because without exception, every time I face an uncomfortable or painful problem and pressed through it, I came out a better person. That's a win. And in business today, especially, if you come in with a scarcity-based mindset, like many of us are of an age that we were raised in a working class mindset. And that's the kiss of death for us as entrepreneurs, because working class mindset is effort in, money out. And as I learned from dear Dan Kennedy, you've got to disconnect the effort from the income. You've got to disengage those, because look, Jeff Bezos does not work 1 billion times harder than we do. It's just not possible. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We're looking for leverage. And today we have digital leverage. AI. I love AI. And everybody who freaks out about it and gets people all scared, I love those people for bringing all the attention to AI, because I'm a huge proponent of let's use these tools to make the world a better place and to make money doing it. That's an abundance mentality. I am always looking at things intentionally from an abundance mentality. Now, I'm not always looking at it with abundance, because sometimes my little automatic pilot thing goes on, and I just start wandering down the little pathways that I made habitual patterns for me all my life. And those things are maybe not so abundance oriented. But I'm having less and less of that. And I'm having a much quicker response to so-called problems that pop up in business and in life. And when you can shorten that gap between, oh crap, this just happened and it pisses me off, or it makes me depressed, or whatever. When you can recognize, no, nothing outside of me made me angry. Nothing outside of me made me depressed. I did that. That was my response to what happened. So I know this is boring, and you're probably even right now thinking, would you get to the tactics? Tell me how to make $1 million. This is the most important thing. You can screw up everything else and get this right and still succeed. Mastery of mindset. That's number one. Number two, mastery of history. I'm shocked by the people in our business who don't know their freaking history. They don't understand who is Gene Schwartz. I know you guys know, but most of these TikTok famous marketing gurus barely are they shaving yet, and they're pronouncing themselves as experts. And many of them are super smart, like 10 times smarter than I was at their age, but they don't understand the history of our business. They don't remember the Columbia Records Club because they were never a member of it. They don't remember getting the Gary Halbert letter in the mail selling them their family crest. I remember the day we got the box my dad paid for when he ordered Gary Halbert's. I read the letter and I was like, Dad, we got to get this. Know your history. Know the history of direct response marketing. You couldn't be in better hands than with Brian, as he leads you. I know he's led you through lots of stories and swipe files and case studies about the historical events of our business and who is who. And that's important stuff, especially if you're operating as a copywriter for hire. If you don't know, I mean, I can have a great conversation with the copywriter, and I can drop a few names. I can say, well, that sounds like something Dick Benson would say. And so then my new copywriter friend, young child of 25, 27, 28, will just blithely walk by that. I don't even know what I'm talking about. That tells me something about their maturity level, about the studiousness of their craft. And do they know? It's, I think about this as kind of a sidebar, but I think we'll come back to this later. I was at a Product Launch Formula Live conference that Jeff Walker was putting on. I was actually speaking there. And there was this gentleman sitting in the back of the room, very quiet by himself. And I just thought, nobody's talking to that guy because they don't think he can do anything for them. I'm going to go sit down and talk to him just to get to know him a little bit and make him, I felt bad for him. So we start talking and I'm asking him what he's doing here. And he says, so I'm trying to learn about these product launches, figure this stuff out. And I ask him what he does. He says, I'm a writer. Oh, you're a writer. What do you write? I write junk mail. Oh, so do I. Let's talk. What's your name? Jim Ruts. I was super fanboy. I was like, not these Jim Ruts. And he laughed. And I stuck to him like glue for the rest of that conference because I wanted to get to know this guy. I knew of him. Now I knew him. I'm talking to him. And we became friends. And he was just a fantastic human. He was weird and quirky. He would call me at 2:00 in the morning and tell me these wild stories about what was going on in his life. I just loved him so much. And we kind of lost touch for a while. And then tragically, I found out he'd passed away and I hadn't spoken to him recently. But he was such a powerful influence for me before I even met him. And then I'm like, you're the guy who wrote the headline, "Read This or Die." He said, yeah, that's me. So know your history and get to know people who are, it's so interesting to me that there's so many people in our business who are older. Now you might say, well, Ray, it sounds like you got an axe to grind. Yes, I do. Let's recognize the wisdom of people with gray hair and no, because they have tons of it that we're not taking advantage of and tapping into. Okay, moving on. Number 3, mastery of craft. So you got to get good at writing copy. And right now I'm seeing a lot of people who think they're good at writing copy because they have Jasper or Chat GPT, or we have our own app that we built called Clarity Scribe. And it's good, but it still doesn't work without human help. It doesn't come up with the big idea for your promotion. It doesn't come up with the creative nuances that you could put in, even though it cranks out great copy. Well, let me say that that's wrong. It cranks out good copy. It does not crank out great copy because it can't think. Regardless of what people are telling you, it doesn't think. It's not self-aware. It's not creative yet. I'm not saying it won't get there, but it's a great tool. I can generate a first draft in 3 minutes that used to take me 3 weeks. And that's the truth. So it's a great tool, but the craft part of it, the part where I take that document that the AI makes for me and I go through it line by line, I think, oh, I would say this different. Oh, here I would want to tell this story. I'm intrigued to know more about Tom because I heard him talking about story and how important that is. So I want to learn more about what you do, sir. That's one of my favorite topics right now. That kind of stuff only you can bring to your copy. So that's what I mean by mastery of craft. And when I say mastery, these 5 masteries, I'm not saying you are at the level of perfection where you no longer need to learn. You can no longer be approached or nobody can gain victory over you. That's not what I mean. Mastery is not a destination. It's a process. It's an attitude that you approach your skill set with. So master your craft. Being in a group like this is one way to hone that mastery. Now, whatever your spiritual background it is, that I'm cool with that. I just happen to have grown up as a Christian, and we read the King James Bible. So people get confounded in all different worlds because I quote from the King James all the time. But there's a proverb in that book of wisdom that says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. You being in this group, you are iron sharpening iron. If we think of each of ourselves as a sword, we're sharpening the blade here. That's powerful. So that's mastery. So mastery of craft. And then number 4, mastery of discipline or mastery of self. My biggest problem in my life is me. Now, I'll leave it to you to figure out what your biggest problem is. Some of you may think it's me, but it's not. My biggest problem in my life is me. And a lot of people think I'm very disciplined. I'm not. I have a lot of systems that force me to look disciplined, but I'm passenger number 1 on the Hot Mess Express every day. Mastery of discipline, setting up those bumper rails. Self-awareness is the skill here. Become self-aware. Be able to see what you're doing that's screwing your own self up. And then ask, well, that's interesting. Why am I doing that? That's more going to be the territory, or perhaps Dr. Susan can help you. I'm just saying it's a question worth asking. Mastery of discipline. That's time management. That's activity management. It's decision making about what to do and what matters. I'm deep into the work of Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy these days, reading and rereading it. I love what Dr. Hardy brings to the table when he brings all the research. I'm the nerd who looks up the studies that Dr. Benjamin Hardy talks about in those books and reads them because I want to know. We're bad decision makers about what to do, most of us, every day. I'm keeping much closer track than ever of what I'm doing every day. And I realized I thought I was pretty good at this stuff. I suck at it until now. Now is a new era in my life, like social media. Social media will destroy you if you let it. You all know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I've moved from here's how I use social media to get people to buy stuff from me. I do that by spreading good, positive, useful messages on social media. I do lots of that. I publish on social media a lot. I consume very little. That's mastery of discipline. And it goes back to mastery of mindset. So mastery of discipline, figure out what to do, why you're doing it, how important it is, and stop doing all the stuff that's eating up your time and energy. It's not helping you. And there's plenty of it. One of my mantras these days is, does this move the needle? If it doesn't move the needle, it better move out of my way. That's actions, decisions, people, places, and things. Move. Number 5, mastery of multiplicative thinking. This is a new level of business consciousness I've come into recently of I'm not satisfied with doubling our revenue or doubling our income or sales. Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy have sold me on 10x thinking. My team and I are deep into reading that book. 10x is easier than 2x. And it's dangerous because your people start thinking for themselves and they start realizing, well, this is what I want to do. And you have to have meetings with people saying, okay, let's talk about how that fits into the vision of the company, how I can help you get where you want to go. How are we going to get there? What's the path? What are the milestones? Let's make all that happen. And guess what? My business begins to increase. We start getting more stuff done with less work. But it took work to get there, and it takes work for us to keep moving along that continuum. So the 5 levels of areas of mastery are mastery of mindset, mastery of history, mastery of craft, mastery of discipline, mastery of multiplicative thinking. Now, okay, Ray, but how does that make me $1 million copywriter? I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was applying for a position in our apprentice program. And he said to me, so just tell me right now, what's the plan for me to make $1 million as a writer? I said, okay. I kept trying to tell him it doesn't work that way. We need to work through some stuff first. But he demanded an answer. I said, okay, I'll tell you right now. Get 10 clients who each pay you $100,000. Get all the work done this year. You made $1 million. And he kind of got mad. He got angry. He's like, the hell kind of advice is that? I said, it's what you wanted. There's your system. If you want to make it harder, get 100 clients, have them pay you $10,000 each. How's that work? He didn't like that plan either. Then we were able to back up and have a more intelligent conversation. By the way, 10 clients at $100,000 is one way to do it. And it's possible. So I'm just throwing that out there for somebody to think about. I believe that the way to get clients that's worked best for me and for my students and clients is having a personal brand of a peculiar sort. And also through strategic partnerships. I have not myself been super deep into buying ads and direct mail and other methods you might be familiar with, list building. I've done all those things. I've done them very well. We're buying ads now. We're running direct mail campaigns now. But my specialty has really been in strategic partnerships. The chief strategic partnership of my career should be no surprise, is Jeff Walker. I bought Product Launch Formula from him in 2005 when it first came out. I've bought every update since. I've never not been a part of that world. That's what allowed me to build my business. I started out as a guy who wrote copy for product launches, and I'm still called on to do that from time to time, but my business is much bigger than that. Now we have a copywriting course and training center. We have certification program. We have an agency. So there's lots of things we have going on that are not a one-person business. I want to come back to that. I think the best way to start is build a one-person business because you can be agile. You can make decisions for yourself. You don't have to work for a jerk. You might, but the jerk will be you. At least you can possibly get control of that person every now and then. On a good day, I'm in control of myself. But that's a good place to start. And it's a great way to build a business where you can earn while you learn. And I've really been working on this personal brand thing for several years with a lot of different clients. And I've learned that personal branding is too broad of a term. I'm looking for you to build a personal brand of a peculiar sort. And this works for you whether you're a copywriter or not as a profession. You are a copywriter, like it or not. I think you like it or you wouldn't be here. The peculiar sort is be the brand of you that you're uncomfortable exposing to the public. Lots of people will say, be bold, be offensive, repel the wrong clients and attract the right clients. It's all good advice. I love all that. I think it's all right on target, but I think it misses something. And that is, for most people, the turn around the corner from being a mediocre, also ran copycat, just like everybody else in the market, personal brand, to being a standout personal brand is when you start letting your weird out. When you start letting your quirkiness show up, when you start being uncomfortably authentic with your audience, when you sit down at the typewriter, as Hemingway said, open up a vein. That's when things start to happen.
Thanks for listening to the Timeless Marketing Podcast with Brian Kurtz. Visit briankurtz.net and click podcast at the top of the page for a full transcript and show notes. If you are interested in working with Brian personally inside of Titans Accelerator, go to briankurtz.net/help to see how Titans can help you grow and scale your business. That's briankurtz.net/help.